Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We are coming to you from the cabin of the L5P. For those of you guys that are new, we bought a 2018 L5P after I made a video about how much Duramaxes suck. Got a lot of hate for lumping in the L5P in that area. So we had a customer's truck that was here. I drove it for a week, fell in love with it was a 2017 LTZ truck, so the Chevrolet version, and I set out on the hunt for a GMC Denali. I really just like higher level trim trucks, so we bought this one. We have now put about 5,000 miles on this truck. I've owned it for 2 months now, and I have really grown to appreciate this platform. This truck obviously tows fine. It's a brand new truck. Well, not brand new, but you know, you get the deal. It is a newer model truck. It's interesting how these tow different than like an inline six Cummins. For sure, they require much more RPM to get the load going. Obviously the torque is higher in the RPM, but these things are no slouches whatsoever. Currently, if you guys look, we have our calibrated power, shift on the fly tune. You can see right now I'm in tune 2. That's tune 3, 4, 3, 2. So we do have the calibrated power, shift on the fly, emissions on tuning. We do have that with the TCM. If you are going to emissions on tune your L5P, I highly recommend getting the additional TCM tuning. Makes these drive a lot better. It smooths out some of the shift points and makes them more firm when they need to be, if that makes sense. But the one thing I have grown to not like about the L5P is the 4-5 gear change is quite an RPM change. And it's very hard when you're loaded heavy or under a heavy load of like acceleration to make that super smooth. I've driven in a couple now. They all seem to have that problem. Now, if you have a 10-speed, obviously that doesn't apply to you. But if you're looking at a 6-speed L5P, it just, I feel like if Allison and Chevrolet or GM and Duramax all could have gotten on the same program and made the 5th gear a little bit closer to 6th, or sorry, closer to 4, because like the 5-6 doesn't do much at all, but the 4-5 is a very huge jump. So that's only one thing I really don't like. One of my favorite things about this truck is the backup lights that you guys can see right there. They're toggled on with this switch on the center, which is right here. I absolutely love these. Backing up at night, if you guys can't tell, I do tint my front windows. I don't tint the front windshield. I just run the brow, and then I think this is 20%. So at night when you're towing a trailer, it is very dark. You turn those lights on and you can see everything. As far as features and stuff go, like the brake controller being over here, it's a little different to get used to, but it is very easy to use and much less problematic than the Power Stroke. I would say it's on par with the Cummins. It's very easy to use. The shift on the fly stuff, it's kind of basic. I wish, which we do have an all lights on module we need to install, but I wish that it was like the RAM where it remembered where you were last time. The headlights on this Denali are very, very nice from the factory, and the fog lights are nice as well. Moving over here, I don't love it and I don't hate it. I like the toggle switches down here. It just, I don't know, it makes you feel like you're doing a bunch of stuff. This flip top stuff, I feel like was designed by a toddler, and I feel like this is just waiting to snap off. So these, I'm not gonna give it a very high rating. It does have a power inverter built in. It does charge my laptop, but again, I mean, pretty much all the trucks have this. It's got the heated and cooled seats. All those functions have worked great. I like the manual HVAC controls better than the Rams all on the screen, because if something does happen to the screen, you're still able to use this. As far as the radio and stuff goes, like it's been fine. The CarPlay works all right. The storage and stuff, again, not terrible. And all in all, this truck has been Very pleasant to drive. It's quiet. It drives like a SUV. Very easy to drive. It tows like a monster. And I would put it neck and neck with any of the other trucks out there by far. Emissions on tuning really woke this thing up. I haven't had any negative side effects yet, but that being said, it is a used truck. it's kind of a flawed basis to start on anyway. But I will say towing, I saw about a half a mile per gallon better emissions on tune running in tune 2 than stock. And then unloaded, it was about almost like 3 to 4 miles per gallon better on the highway once I finally settled down and just let the truck drive normal. Some of the features I don't like about this truck that came in other trucks of this year model, I don't like that the tailgate doesn't open on its own. Like, you can't press a button and open the tailgate. I really don't like the fact that there's no camera to hook up your gooseneck trailer. Yes, I do know how to back up a gooseneck trailer. I look over, I get a straight line, and I can hook it up, but it was a lot more convenient when I could just watch it in the camera and not have to turn around. So whatever, call me a city boy, I don't care. And then the only other thing that I really don't like about the Duramax is, and I don't understand why they did this, is, so this is drive, but you can't tap shift, right? You got to put it in a different position. To me, that makes no sense why you have to do it like that. To me, I feel like it's just something that you should fix. Also, that brings me to the rear view camera. Better than David's Ford, better than my 15 Ram, not as good as my 21 Ram. Now again, this is an 18 truck. I'm not trying to pretend like it's brand new, but given the same kind of years, this camera is much, much better than its predecessors. So moving around to the outside of the truck, the only complaints I really have is there's a lot of chrome on this truck, which I knew when I bought it, but I do want to work on some of the aesthetics. I really wanted to make sure I liked the truck before I spent a ton of money on it, but I do want to get some of the front painted to match, some of the sides painted to match. I love the wheels now that we got them to fit. Whoever designed this wheel well, I'm so glad you lost your job in 2020 when they gave us a little bit more room. We ended up having to trim the front part of the bumper. As you can see right here, I cut this and then I basically just sliced down there. And then on the inner fenders, we NorCal modded the absolute crap out of these things, but we did get it to fit. And that is my 60-day review of this. All in all, this truck has really grown on me. I really like it. I've been approached by a few places to try to push these to the next limit. I'll let you guys read into that all you want, but apparently these things will make 1,000 horsepower factory sealed. Kind of sounds pretty fun to me. So I don't know where we're going to go with this. I really got to just look at it financially and see how we can go about it, but that might happen. Now, to get to the real meat and potatoes of this video, we're going to go ahead and do a transmission fluid service. Around this mileage, they recommend an interior and exterior transmission filter. So we have all of our filters and our fluid. To perform that, we'll also do the transfer case fluid and just really give her a once over underneath. And let me show you guys something that all you Ram owners are going to be jealous of. By far my favorite feature of the Allison thus far: drain pan or drain plug. So we're going to go ahead and get our fluid changed. I did go ahead and get Allison filters for this. I don't know if the GMs are as sensitive as our Mopar friends are, but I went ahead and played it safe and I went with OEM filters. So I'm going to go ahead and get this started to drain. Once we get the pan off, I'll show you guys what these look like inside in case you're new to the Allison world. And yeah, this is another topic. We might end up beefing this up a little bit depending on how all this stuff goes. So this might turn into quite the project, guys. Like anything I own, who knows? But for those of you guys that are wondering, yes, it is. It's all still here. This is the fluid we're going to use. I understand the Castrol Transcend is the preferred fluid. I get it, guys. I do. This is what we have available today. So this is a Deck 6 fluid. It is a synthetic fluid, and according to Allison's website, the Valvoline SIN 668 fluid is this. So this is on Allison's approved website. I did check that before I made this YouTube video. Just want to make sure I was giving you the correct stuff. And as you can see here, it works on all the different Dextron. Sorry, this is actually applications here. So it does work in the transmission. If you want to use AC Delco or any other brand, go for it, guys. Absolutely go for it. You want to know what I put in my 48s? If we have hot shots, I'll put that in a truck that's not getting changed all the time. If it's my race truck, I use the cheapest ATF that is a Dex Merc blend. So again, do what you want. This is what we are doing on my personal truck. I did go ahead and spring for the GM transmission fluid filter. And then we have the Allison exterior spin-on filter, which is located right here. I wasn't sure if these were reusable gaskets or not, so I'm going to just go ahead and put a fresh gasket on. If you are a GM guy, here's your part number. I think I ordered all this on Amazon. And then here's a turbo blanket. Well, anyway, here's our transmission filter. I thought I had two of them, but let me open this up here. While we are opening this box, the transmission fluid says it takes 8 quarts. I always collect tranny fluid out of customers' trucks or my own trucks. I'll check the level before I drain it. I will measure what's in the bucket, and I will dump that back in. Gives you a really good starting point before you start playing the fluid games. So just something I found that works over time. I do know that this O-ring has a tendency to get stuck in any of the transmissions that have this style filter. These go up. Make sure you lube that O-ring. So I'm gonna go ahead and get you guys set up on a little time-lapse here, and we're gonna get this pan pulled down now that it's pretty much done draining, and get this thing taken apart. Transmission pan, as you can see, magnet, very little debris. Fluid's kind of a reddish brown color. Definitely was time. There's our filter. And then on these Allisons, I find that this O-ring gets stuck in the case of the trans quite often. I usually find if you just like literally grab the edge of it with your finger, you can usually pull it out. If not, like a little pick. There is our filter. You guys can kind of see, not too plugged up. Definitely it was probably time. I doubt that this had ever been changed, because it looks like according to GM's instructions, you're really only supposed to do the exterior portion of this transmission at 40,000, I believe. But looking in the bucket, we got about, I'd say about 2 gallons, maybe 2 and a little bit more. So we'll go ahead and probably dump just 2 gallons straight in it when we go to fill it back up. And here is the belly of the beast. This is a fully electronic transmission, very similar to your 68s, your 5R, 6R stuff. So nothing really crazy to see, other than look at how much smaller the valve body is compared to a 68, and look at how many valve body bolts they have. That's probably one of the biggest downfalls, in my opinion, to the 68, is the valve body itself is very large, and then there's only, I believe, 6 bolts, if my memory serves me correctly, that bolted to the case, whereas these and the 5Rs and the 6Rs have a lot more bolts to stop it from warping. So I'm going to go ahead, brake clean all this up, brake clean our pan out, brake clean our exterior filter magnet off, and get this all put back together, guys. Okay, pan is on, torqued, cleaned off, new filter installed on the exterior, new filter on the inside, pan bolts torqued, oil drain plug torqued. Let's get this thing down and fill it with our Chinese fluid over there. Funnel in, we threw 2 gallons in, 8 quarts. It's about where we're at on the bucket there. It might be a little bit, but that's a good starting point. Now that I've got that done, and I won't forget before I fire this up, we'll go back up, drain the T-case, and then we'll be ready to go drive this pig a little bit. And for those of you guys that have never done a T-case before, this is your fill hole right here. Or sorry, that is your drain hole right there. And then on this particular transfer case, our fill hole is up here. Kind of a pain to get to on these Duramaxes, not even gonna lie to you guys. They have the torsion key bar right here, as well as your T-case right here. So this looks like it's gonna be a great time. I'm gonna get a hand pumper, get this fluid drained out, and then pump in fresh. It calls for the same trans fluid that you put in. So Deck 6, really most automatic transmission transfer cases will call for the same fluid in the trans as they do the transfer case. Not always, but that's a good rule of thumb. And then the only other thing I will tell you is take your drain or your fill plug out first to make sure it's not completely rusted in there. Because what'll happen is the drain plug is submerged in fluid, usually comes out pretty easy. The drain or the fill hole gets corroded really bad, and then you end up stuck in you know what creek without a paddle with no way to put fluid in. So that's something I've just always done. So to check our trans fluid on the Allisons, a little bit different than the 48s. All you do is cycle it through the gears real quick. So that'll be park, reverse, drive, back to park, and that would be a cold temperature. You check the trans fluid in park. Hot is 160 to 180. The Duramax or Allison dipstick rather does have a hot and a cold, similar to like your, I believe 68s, or maybe it's Azen, I can't remember, maybe it's both. But there's our check marks, and that really puts it into perspective there when you think about, like, it's an inch difference between hot and cold on how much the transmission fluid does expand. So I'm gonna go ahead, get in this old girl here with my nice trans fluid covered hands. And oh my goodness, I didn't even leave the keys in it. Well, I'm gonna do that, check the fluid, and we'll wrap this up. Took us exactly about 10 quarts, maybe 9.5 to fill her up. So I'm not sure why the literature says 8. That's a stock pan. Maybe they're, I don't know, but yeah. Let's go ahead and take this girl on a drive real quick. All right. This thing is so freaking awesome, guys. We just want to get the trans warm. Put a little heat in it. We're not going to go very far, but I mean, like, this thing boogies for emissions on bone stock. Like, I mean, this thing freaking hauls. I would put an emissions on L5P up against a Cummins deleted and tuned all day long, and I think this would win. Granted, you gotta put def in, kind of lame, but just as in terms of power, it's insane what these things do. And you see how, like, the trans doesn't, like, crazy defuel? Like, that is all calibrated there. Like, when I drove this truck from the factory, it was like, brr, 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 you know, like, did the typical Duramax, like, defuel hard. I will say a fully locked OG Tuna 68 still shifts better than this. But for a Allison 1006 speed, this thing shifts pretty darn good for a stock unit. Again, 68 lock shifts, reliability, everything else aside, as far as unloaded driving, I gotta say, 68, but this thing is definitely impressive as far as how it shifts for an Allison compared to stock. I love it. I mean, you can literally just lay into it. Like, that's floored, and I have to let out because there's a turn. Obviously, it's really weird how Mexico looks a lot like the shop, but we're close to the border. But this thing boogies, guys. Like, not trying to oversell it, but if you have like a 500 horsepower, 2nd gen, 3rd gen, deleted in tune 4th gen, deleted in tune 5th gen, like, this thing is going to walk it. Hands down. I would put money on it. And that's not saying that the Cummins isn't powerful or anything else. I'm just trying to, a lot of you guys are diehard Cummins guys, and I get it, but just to put it in terms that you are familiar with, this thing is quick for a 1-ton truck. Let's see if I haven't actually done a boosted launch. Let's see how this does. We're not gonna do it in 4-wheel drive, but let's see if we can get the tires to. Okay, so instantly blows the tires off. Hazing them there. That's an impressive 0 to 60. We should bust out the draggy, but again, you know, just a short little trip. I really just want to get the trans fluid a little warm, make sure our hot level's good. Nothing quite like doing your first transmission fluid service and just really letting her know how she's going to be treated for the remainder of her life. Obviously towing, we dial it back a little bit, but when I'm unloaded driving this thing, I beat the living crap out of this thing. Everyone says that these Duramax L5Ps, factory sealed motors, can take a beating. We're gonna find out. That is my 2-month honest review as a diehard 6.7 Cummins fan, 48 RE fan. These things boogie, they tow well, they drive nice, they have decent interior comforts. I hit on the cons I didn't like, and I hit on all the pros I do like. All in all, guys, I appreciate all of the comments that said the L5P was a different monster. On that video, I did basically just bashing you V8 guys. I have not necessarily changed alliances, but this thing is impressive. I like driving it, and I think we're gonna make a lot more content with this truck. And I think you guys are really gonna like to see us really push this platform a little bit. I know these trucks have been out since 17, but I want to push it and see what these things are capable of. I've heard the rumors. I've talked to like some of the guys at Calibrated, WC Fab. Big shout out to JD over at Dan's Diesel Performance as well. I've just been kind of picking all their brains, trying to figure out which route I want to go, what parts I should get. And at the end of the day, we'll get probably parts from pretty much all 3 of those companies and bolt them on here and really send this thing to the moon. But just look at her. A little dirty, but that's a unit right there. I love the way it sits, especially once we pick the front end up about 1 inch. I think it's gonna look real clean. With the airbags on this truck, you can't really settle the rake down anymore. I don't know why, but whoever owned this truck originally took the overloads off. I actually saw a 3500 single rear wheel truck. They took those off because this VIN number is a 3500, but they took the overloads off and put the airbags on. So unfortunately, that is the rake we're stuck with back there. I could reverse level it and a bunch of other things, but we'll just pick up the front end just ever so slightly, and I think it'll be great. Hopefully you guys like this video. Drop a comment if you ever thought I would actually like a Duramax. If you have one of these, you bought an awesome truck. I have no complaints thus far. Again, injector pigtails, MAF sensor, spacer, like, I mean, just put some in your glove box. It ain't no big deal. Like it, comment, subscribe if you're not already, and as always, guys, I will catch y'all on the next one.